Do you know who it is that's had the longest standing ovation at TED? It's a man called Bryan Stevenson. He's a social justice activist and a lawyer. Back when he did his TED Talk, they were all 18 minutes long. He spent 12 of his very precious 18 minutes telling stories. And the very first story he tells is about himself, of the moment when he's called into his grandma's room and she makes him make some promises, one of which is that he will always love his mother, and the other one is that he will never touch a drop of alcohol in his life. Fast forward, a few years later, he's playing in the woods with his brothers and they offer him a beer. And then he says, no, thank you. 3 times they offer him beer and 3 times he refuses. And then they start to laugh. They're like, Bryan, you didn't believe Grandma, right? You do know she's had that conversation about being special with every single one of her 10 grandkids. And they're laughing and laughing. And so is the audience. The audience is really chuckling at this point, thinking that's the point of the story. And he waits for the laughter to die down. And then he says, and I've never touched a drop of alcohol in my life. And at that moment, there's such a stillness in the auditorium, you could really hear a pin drop. Why is that important? Because he's very, very quickly moved us along the know, like, trust pathway. We feel like we know him because we understand a bit about his past. We like him because he's a truthful, honourable guy and he's laying himself bare in front of this audience, which automatically means we can trust him. And then there's this inbuilt correlation between him as an honourable, truthful human being and what he stands for. And we can't uncouple the two. This is a man that argues with facts and figures and data for a living, and he understood the value of that story. He understood the emotional value of it, that his audience would get to know him and understand him in those few moments. But without asking, at the end of his talk, he had $1 million donated to his social activist fund. Stories are not decoration. They're not fluff. They have actual commercial value. As well as your audience being able to understand you a bit better, they genuinely have commercial value. So, what stories do you have that you could add into your repertoire that will help your audience understand who you are and what you stand for, but that will also add commercial value to your business? Take care. We'll speak soon.